off high. See a little pond.
All right,
They were around that, you know.
Oh, interesting.
we're gonna call the meeting to order at 5 o'clock.
It is fine.
And we'll go around and let me just add up. Add myself here. Join as panelists. There we go. Okay. All right. Meeting come to order. We'll start on my right.
Oh, that's me. Michelle Fitzpatrick, secretary.
Ray Rafferty, vice chair.
Ann Schmidt, member.
Larry Dunn, chair.
Tom Olson, member.
All
Dave-
right.
Oh, it's
Go
me
ahead.
again.
It's fast.
Jeez.
Always
Dave
forgot.
Prescott staff.
First item of business is the approval of minutes. My only comment was.
I move that we approve the minutes.
I second it.
I have a comment.
Well, that's in discussion, right?
It's
Right.
that the three officers elected aren't showing as voting, and I do believe we did vote.
That's interesting.
Sorry.
I think you
I
did.
definitely hadn't.
I-
voted.
I
We
do-
vote, we voted.
You twisted my arm to vote.
thought that was on page
Right,
6
okay.
here. That's weird.
Motion to re-elect. Am I? What do you mean?
No, my vote isn't in there.
Oh, your vote. You're missing
Right.
the
My
Mary's vote. Okay.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
three of us,
Michelle's
because we
And Bray's vote.
are the people that are on the slate.
So
Not
yeah,
allowed
that's
to
a good
vote?
point. So if
Can't
we had done it individually,
It would have been.
we probably could have had you all there for the vote, but because we did it as one big, even though you all voted and it was unanimous anyways, that's a good point. I bet you that's why Shannon did it like that. Is that,
Does that follow the Roberts Rules of
I
Order?
don't know, we didn't have the training. We have to go- Well, we would have to separate it out completely then if you wanted your vote to count, because you can't vote for
You're
yourself.
not allowed to vote for yourself. Is
Yourself.
that?
Ah, okay.
So that's probably,
Okay.
so that's why.
There's still a quorum.
It is still a quorum.
So
Yeah.
for-
It-
All right, I will withdraw my.
All
But
right.
Ray seconded it. You'd like to second it? You'd like to
You can still second it.
motion,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, because basically it's you accept in the minutes and the
Yeah,
question is
second
whether
it.
it's going to be
Yeah.
amended or approved as written.
Oh, was Bray allowed to second it here?
Right, but
Oh,
was very allowed to,
Sure.
Wait, I thought you seconded it.
Just now.
no, I
Just
think
now.
that Ray seconded the motion
on the
for
slate.
this, for the election.
I don't know why it wouldn't be.
Well, if you can't vote for yourself,
You can't, can you?
You can second for the motion, but
Yeah, you could bring it as a motion.
okay.
Yeah, you can bring the motion, you just can't vote on
Yeah,
it.
that's a
Okay,
different thing.
okay.
Okay, all right. So it is on the table. Any discussion, other discussion?
Further discussion.
well, you could argue that it should be technically, they should recuse yourselves. Yeah, that's another
I
way
could
to-
I can recuse you guys if you want to be recused, or you can just keep it as
No,
it is because
because
we have
it
quorum.
didn't happen that way.
I know it, I agree,
Yeah, so I'm not gonna do that.
All right.
Just
And
let it stand.
but it's,
Let it stand.
Let it stand. All
Good
right, without
point, Ray.
objection,
no
the minutes are approved. Oh, my goodness. Okay, public communication. Is there any public? There is no public.
no public.
I did get some. One was in a variety of emails, et cetera, on a question on whether styrofoam containers are used at retirement communities. And you were gonna,
Already been, right, we already dealt with it.
yeah, okay.
Yep. Who?
Now, I.
You brought it up. Yeah,
did, but-
Ann brought it up. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Ann brought it up.
Well,
And,
I
and you were, and you,
Communication?
Oh, yeah, so.
yeah, and it's already been addressed.
Address.
Yep.
That,
You can go ahead.
is going to be sending
Yep.
a letter.
Yep.
To the,
Okay,
Now that you can either put that, you don't have to put that as a public that's not really a public communication. It's more under, it would be more under report of commission.
Yeah, I would think so too.
'Cause
it was
Ann
the
brought it
review,
up.
right? Yeah.
You were CC'd on it. Okay, so we'll put it like that.
okay. Well, I did get
Well,
the
there we go.
March 5th cause annual meeting notice, as well as a bunch of other folks. So that's been running around. Let's see,
what meeting notice, sorry?
the CAWS cause.
Oh, cause, yeah.
Not the Connecticut Land Conservation.
No, that's something
the
different.
next
We
one.
have that one too.
So, I mean, I wasn't gonna do anything about the that particular one? Did
Is it
with
wetland
anyone else?
issue for that?
Focused on.
Yeah,
wetlands,
it's
right?
mostly wetlands.
Yeah, okay. And then the third one that I had was the Connecticut Land Conservation Conference application for March 22nd, and I thought that the forestry track on that one was of interest. Giselle was interested in it, and you were gonna do some.
Yep, I have a update on that. So, we're getting getting closer to the end of the budget season, and we are a little tight.
Okay.
But, we have enough room to send one Conservation Commission member.
Okay. She's already
Interested, yep.
indicated she would like to go.
Yep.
So could you send her a note that?
Sure.
Now, she has to submit the application.
She does.
and then
She would fill it out and then we
And then
we
reimburse
reimburse.
it.
Yep, and then send me the information and
If
reimburse.
you
Yep.
would.
If she's not here, yeah.
she
If
did-
not, we'll talk to her at the end. If she comes in later, we'll talk about the end of
She
the
was
meeting.
planning on being here.
I know.
Yeah, okay,
Traffic.
any other public
called-
communications? Did you get any?
I did not.
Okay. Next is.
All right. I have one, if you want to call it, it's gonna come up one way or another. And I think you all got this, and whether it's public or not. So the Roberts Rules FOIA
Correct.
training has been changed to February 27th. There was a last minute, I don't even know reason why, but it got canceled.
The day
it's-
of, I think.
Yes,
Yes.
They said it was the lecturer was sick.
sick or something like that, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense to be late. Okay, yeah,
So,
I did see that, yeah.
I didn't see that note, but I didn't register because I kind of spaced.
Oh,
out on
exactly.
it.
That's what happened to me too. So I just sent thing now saying, please put me on your list.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
Okay,
so
you'd
should
send
we
that to
reply
the-
to the original?
Yes,
Yeah.
or
Okay.
did you get a email? You should have got an email that it got canceled because it went out to all
Got
commissioners.
postponed.
It got posted, whatever.
I have gotten
One
nothing
got
from her.
canceled, then changed to a different
I
date.
got the original one.
I
But you didn't
get-
get a follow-up?
Think so.
I got
Alright.
nothing from her since last summer with the other training. So I was not on the list for any of that.
Huh.
The only information I had was what
It
you said.
was not, was it from the same woman?
Yes,
Yeah,
it's all
from
the-
Lisa, yep. Lisa Hilton.
Okay. Sure.
All right, wait, let's clarify here. Bray, you got something?
Yes.
Okay, Larry, you got something?
I got the cancellation. I didn't get another one that said.
There is no another
Okay, it
one.
was just the cancellation.
Well, there's,
No, it's-
no, it was a
it's a
cancellation and then there was
postponement.
there,
There was a cancellation.
Yes.
Email and a postponement email. Both of them came out same day.
I only saw one of them,
all right, I'll forward it on to you guys. How about we just do that? I'll just.
which is why I
forward
was
you.
confused. I kept waiting for something else. Yes, she probably needs to reissue it at least to the Conservation Commission members.
Well, it did go out.
I get it. I
yeah,
got it.
It did go out. Supposedly it went out to everyone. So I don't know which list she's using.
Yeah, I'm not on their list for sure.
So the
Yeah.
only, I got the message you forwarded to us.
Right.
That's the only one I've gotten.
Yep, me
And
too.
that was on January 7th. I haven't,
Yep.
but I failed to register because I spaced.
I don't have my laptop in front of me right now, but we should also check to make sure that how you guys are written as part of the commission online, because that's probably the one she's using. If you've changed email addresses or anything like that, that could be one of the issues.
I changed nothing.
But it's Lisa. Okay.
Yeah, it's Lisa Hilton. Yeah.
But I now sent an email to the person they said to send it to register. So hopefully
Yeah,
they'll add me to
That's
the
Lisa. Yep,
list.
yep. So I will I'll forward that out to everyone. And if you have not replied, you can reply to her. If for some reason you have obviously they want all commissioners to go to, and they give you the option of either attending in person at Thrive or remotely. If you're for some reason out of the country or whatnot, supposedly it's going to be recorded and we can share that with you afterwards. But this is a requirement that, as I mentioned last time, that the council is asking for. This is not a,
Just
Statement.
want to make sure we
Yeah,
get the
yeah.
right
And
information.
just as a clarification, the person that sent the email out was Lisa Hilton, but your response goes to Jessica
Jessica.
McCurdy.
And who sent the other message
to
that
her?
was, I guess it doesn't matter because we didn't get it.
Okay.
Lisa's the only one that has been sending messages.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'll
Okay.
just make sure they're both on.
anyways, I will send it out to you
Thank
all tomorrow.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, so more stuff from me.
That's what I sent my response to.
Um,
Okey dokey.
so we did thank you to the IT department after a couple of months. We did get an update to the Conservation Commission website. So that is now up to date. So that's good. There was the Mystic River Alliance Planners convening was the name of it, on the 14th of January that I did attend. I can't remember, did anyone else attend?
I did not, I was on vacation.
Okay, yeah, you run the last one. Yeah, okay. It was informational, nothing that I would pass on as critical, it's more presentation material. I attended the Groton 2035 January 29th Hot Topic event. Again, interesting data, nothing startling or new. You could weigh in if you'd like on that, since you were there. Yes, you were. Pizza was good.
That's good.
Pizza was good. I did submit a support letter for the Eastern Connecticut Watershed Network, and I did that because it had to be out before this meeting. So I did make an executive decision or chair decision to put that out.
Right, and that was in the minute, I mean, the
It is
agenda,
in the
right?
Yes, yeah.
So we can, I think it's coming up later there.
That doesn't matter. It's fine in this report.
Yeah. I had a discussion with John Reiner in terms of vacant land process. The TOP kind of is really non-functional. So the only chance for the Conservation Commission to weigh in would be public comment when everyone else gets public comment. So as that, I think Butler School is the first one coming through this new process or old process.
No, the one that's up right now is Groton Heights.
Oh, Groton Heights, sorry, Groton Heights is the next.
Groton Heights and then Pleasant Valley.
Yeah, do you have a date on the, we know when Groton Heights will be?
I do not have a date. I actually asked right before this. Sometime most likely by the end February, early March.
Okay, so.
One of the council meetings at that point, they're going to
Yeah, so
present
then
with
the
the
question would be, if it's late February, then it won't be before our next meeting to have our chance
Correct,
to do a
yep.
position on it.
Yep.
So, but we don't have any information on which to respond to yet.
Well, and that's the whole, at that point, they're going to be they went through all the applications. These are what they're pushing
So
forward.
that's not gonna be the public meeting.
I don't know how they're gonna, I'm still waiting. So here's an option for you guys. You have not met, I don't think, some of you met, because you guys were both at the same table. Corinne Piazza, who is basically the economic development manager. And she's basically working with John on that
Yep.
whole process and whatnot. And she's really been streamlining the entire process. And she said, if there is interest by the commission to have her come in and kind of talk about the whole process, she's happy to come in and do a presentation on that.
Yeah, I'm less interested in the process because
Well, you understand the process, but there was questions last month by Kristen, mostly by Kristen, about understanding the process and everything like that. So
okay, I guess
it's up to you guys.
Don't have her come in till Kristen's back.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
she had the
right.
biggest,
Yep.
those questions,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, yep, absolutely.
So I guess my interest is when will we get a packet so that we as a commission can respond to it in the public forum?
It will be part of it would go to the town council first. So
Okay.
that's when that's when everything is released. There's not going to be a pre-package for any commissions. It's because it has to go to the town council first.
Okay, so they're not gonna do it at the same time. Surprise, here's a package and I want public comments. at the
Like I
same
said,
time.
I am not entirely sure. Again, that was the questions for like John and Corinne and stuff like that. So,
Okay.
but I'll keep you all up to
We
date.
just want the opportunity.
Yeah,
to
I get it. Yep. And
review and respond.
yep, and there's still time. There's still plenty of time.
Okay, all right. Okay, I did agree to reach out a second time to Attorney Sweeney. Did you recall on that
Mhm.
one? I did get a response this time on my second letter. His response is I think I copied you on it.
No, I didn't
No,
get anything. No.
No. There is no project at this point. I'm sorry if the local newspaper led some to believe that we had a plan ready to go. The only thing we are working on is a text amendment that would allow us to develop a plan. I'm working with Deb Jones on that text amendment now. If that is ultimately successful, my client would develop a potential plan for its property along Route 117. At that point, I think we could certainly sit down and discuss and share the concept with you to get your input. I think there is some opportunities, especially on the eastern side of the site, to create some conservation areas, but in our reality, we're not at that point yet.
Yep.
So thank you, Attorney Sweeney, for responding. Okay. This looks more like a public input than anything else, going through my list. So I did get a I guess a letter from the Land Conservancy Commission about the legislative session and climate change, et cetera. It's fairly lengthy. I'm not going to read it. And it's really just saying, because of the changes at the federal level, we need to be very cognizant of what's going on in Connecticut, and let's work through what we can at the Connecticut level. I mean, that's kind of the net of this.
Who did you receive that letter from?
That was from,
Is that Amy Blakemore?
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Who's she with?
The Land
Connecticut
Conservation
Land
Commission.
Conservation.
Or-
CLCC,
Or is CLCC?
CLCC.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Connecticut Land.
Connecticut Land.
She
Conservation.
presented.
It sounded like it was a different organization. That's why I was clarifying. So, all right. Yep, that sounds good.
Okay. That's for me. So
I did a number of things here. I obviously went through the entire document for the open space plan for the CCOG, for the regional thing. As I mentioned last time, they categorize land in a different open space lands in a different way. They have a whole chapter 5 that explains it all. And so I took that information and met with Noah Feldman, our GIS coordinator. And then he was able to, within a day, download all their classifications of our properties and add it to our inventory. So, and then I went off on my trip, came back, and then last week I went through it all to do a comparison on how they classified things relative to protected and preserved lands, because they recognize that in their open space definitions, to the 5 or the 6 categories that they have. Okay. And I found of the 552 parcels that are in our inventory, I found 124 discrepancies. Okay, that proposed changes. Okay. The great, a lot of this stuff is to some degree like working lands, okay, which is a PA 490 categorization that we really don't recognize as protected and preserved, but they recognize it as far as they're counting, okay? So a forest, a PA 490, because it has 3 categorization: open space, forest, and agricultural. And so that in the agricultural forestry lands would typically be working land, such as and we have a couple of those. We have the Widow's Farm is a working area, a PA 490, Cooper Tree Farm, the Yerziski Christmas Tree Farm are considered PA 490 forestry areas, but they're considered working because they're running a business with this stuff. Okay. And those kind of categorizations were not included. They had just listed as a basic open space in most of those situations like that. And a number of other ones, some of the, if it's open by their definitions to passive recreation, such as all the Groton open space and Avalonia spaces that have trails on them should be really categorized by their definition as active, passive recreational, as opposed to just conserving, which is basically your dedicated open space with there's no activity on it. Okay, so,
Just the animals.
you know, those kind of things. So I went through each line by line as far as, you know, because I don't know how they categorize some of this stuff. Some of it was guessing, and a couple of, they had a bunch of, some of them had, you know, cemeteries on them that, I don't know where they got that, there's a cemetery on those, that type of stuff. But, you know, so there was a lot of changes, but they're all very of a minor nature, as far as on adds and subtracts that are kind of net as far as the total acreage all came out about the same anyhow. So I just wanted to get concurrence before I start going to CCOG on the next step, because we've done all we can done. Our inventory, I've got the inventory updated. I posted a copy to the working database there, so we have that available. And I'm gonna go see if they'll agree to update their
So say,
information.
so there's the things that we disagree with there. So some of the stuff of ours you changed.
Well, our
Or
stuff
not.
all stayed the same. I haven't
Oh,
changed
okay.
our stuff at all, other than I
Okay.
found two minor corrections, you know, for one property changed from pending to this, and one was, you know, there was just a typo in it and stuff. We had, you know, our database is unchanged. I'm gonna ask CCOG to correct their
To
initial
match
rank,
ours.
because, yeah, to match ours. Because I don't think they spent that much time really going parcel by parcel like I
Sure they
did.
yeah.
For the proper categorization. I'm not gonna, so that way those two, their database and ours would be in sync with each other.
All right, so my only concern is if they choose to take 490 and count it as preserved and protected, that's your.
No, they're not counting it as preserved protected. They're counting it as an open is because they have additional class. They have these 6 additional classifications. They recognize protected and preserved, but they also add on some, these active and working lands and conservation
All right,
lands.
so we're okay here. They add this on, which we don't.
Well, yeah, but we have it in our database
That's great,
at 490.
But when we report to the council,
Yeah, we're not gonna change any
we're
of
not gonna
that.
change that. So it's 29.7 or
That's-
whatever it is.
Yeah,
We're not gonna add the 490.
yeah.
Okay, that was my biggest concern.
Right. So
So
that's why I wanted to talk to everybody about this before I go off to, over the next month here to,
I,
deal with
I,
CCOG.
I have no
which is-
problem providing them with your work effort, quite
Yeah,
frankly,
right.
for them to get in sync. Anyone else have an issue?
Sounds good to me.
You have authorization.
Okay, I'll continue that arena. Next area was the ECCD. I have a meeting on Wednesday with them for the next go around. But in the meantime, the big part of the ECD is the Baker Cove watershed and the Thames River partnership. Thames River Basin partnership. It was mentioned at our last meeting, there was we had been invited to their meeting that they're holding, which was last week. I attended. And I was pretty much the downer person at the meeting. Just to put things in perspective here, the Thames River Basin Partnership has 26 different organizations that are part of it. We are not, but we got invited because we had made Larry and I had made presentations to them, and I've attended a lot of their workshops and that type of stuff over the years. And there were other organizations that were invited, such as the Mystic River Basin or Mystic River.
Alliance.
And they brought 4 people to the meeting, okay? So as well as the Ledger Conservation Commission was represented there, and they're not a member. So in the room, there was only 3 of the partners were in the room, okay? And half the people in the room were non-partners, okay? So I basically, they explained that they're down to $1,300. They're basically trying to make a decision whether or not to keep their website up. I'd never visited the website before, but it does have the 26 listed partners when I pulled it up real quick. They basically said that a lot of the folks are, this Jean Pillow, who is the director of it, has retired. And she worked for ECCD. She was paid $20,000 by the Last Green Valley, who was one of the partners, and they were running the meeting. This Lois Bogue, who's the executive director for Last Green Valley, because Last Green Valley pretty much has the same imprint as the partnership does. And so she was trying to keep it all going, as well as the CCOG people who hosted the meeting. They were there because it's mostly Southeast Connecticut folks. And they basically, they passed out this 5-page tome as far as all their what's the partnership, their goals, all the detail things that they were supposed to be doing and stuff for 21 to 24. So nobody's written the new continuation of this. And so they were looking for somebody to take that task on because Jean didn't do it before she left. Okay. And so I basically said, why you, they went around the room, what's everybody think about all this? And I basically said, I think you should shut it down because if you have this big come to Jesus meeting, you only get 3 of the partners there, that's telling you something. It's telling you something that nobody's willing to put money up to this thing because ECCD says they're not going to fund her salary anymore because they laid her off. They basically terminated and got rid of her position. And so I just follow the money here and the money's not flowing and you're just looking for volunteers here, maybe there's something better, a different way you want to approach this. And so that did not go over well, but I was just trying to be,
A bit of cheer that you've
Yes.
injected.
But no,
in.
that's good that you tried to.
yeah.
put
And a
some
lot of people
realism into
afterwards
it.
basically said, thank you for bringing this up as, for at least put it on the table.
But if there's
So,
no support for it, what are they doing?
yeah, so they're gonna try to rally some support now that they, been, had discussions on it, but I did not volunteer to take any of this work on.
Thank you.
Okay, just to let you know where that all stands. And then the last item, the other ECD part thing is the back whack cleanup. And so I've been working with the NER I worked with Con College 2 years ago. We worked with NER last year and UConn folks that she brought in. This is Larissa Grant from the NER. And Larissa and I, basically, she has gone off and recruited the Mystic Aquarium. And now, so the Mystic Aquarium is on board to support a cleanup on April 11th starting at 9 a.m. And so I'm lining up right now with the city and the town Parks and Recs folks to get the trash picked up, which is the hardest thing to do. As far as what do you do with after everything when you pick it up, to take care of that part of it. And then we're working with the other agencies to get people, and they actually, Mystic Aquarium is promising a number of probably about 20 to 30 people. And basically because they're off trying to do local cleanups. And the NER well, probably they don't know how many people they're going to get right now, but they're going to provide all the electronic signups and emailing and all that type of stuff. So I don't have to do much. My stuff's all lined up already this year. So
But I mean, given the amount of people it sounds like will be there, is this something that we should kind of give the day a little heads up as an event?
well, I will talk to the NER people because they're
Oh,
kind
they're-
of running it almost now, which and we also have to go to ECCD, but that's Wednesday's meeting. I got that Wednesday morning, so I'll be presenting all there and see, because it's really in their name that we do all this.
Okay.
It's their call on what type of publicity they want. Okay, so that's on the agenda for Wednesday, this coming Wednesday. So we still have time. It's on April 11th, so we're still 2 months out here.
All right.
Okay. So I think that's all the stuff I was supposed to talk about.
Did you want to talk about your conversation with the naval base?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that was another action item. Appreciate that reminder. I took an action at the last meeting in regard to the plastics to see what's been done at the federal level, since I have contacts and ready access over there. I went to the Navy. You got to recognize when you go in the gate, there's 2 big buildings you can see from Crystal Lake Road. There's the Navy Exchange, which is basically your Walmart. And then you have the Navy Commissary, which is run by the Department of Defense. Okay. I went to the Navy Exchange and talked to them, and they basically said, we're thinking about it, but we'll do whatever we're told by big Navy Exchange, which is down in Norfolk. Then I went over to the department to the commissary, and they said, oh, we were all in line to go to plastics on October 1st, part of this fiscal year, but they ran into a manufacturing problem with the bags, and so we've now been delayed. I'll say. So they were already implementing in that.
When you said go to plastics.
You mean
Well, no,
non-plastic?
go to non-plastic.
Non-plastic, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
non-plastic, excuse me. So they're plastic substitute, excuse me, it's probably the better.
So they're working on it.
They're working on it. They actually have some plans at the grand scheme, but they recognize it's the thing to be doing. So, and once the commissary goes, because they use a lot more than the exchange does. I think the exchange will be kind of forced to follow suit, okay? Because but the Department of Defense will take the lead and let the Navy follow. Okay, so more to follow here. I don't know. She had no idea, when I talked to the managers at both places, and she felt really bad that she said, I was all lined up. I had everything, waiting for the stuff to show up so I could change everything out and do the training with the baggers and all this kind of stuff. But it all got canceled right at the last minute, right? She said at the end of September. So she was a little surprised, and she's heard nothing since as far as what the problems are and when they're going to implement it. But she says it's imminent. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, things are
I
grinding
was
to a halt.
surprised, they're doing something.
We'll see.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just have a few things. So as Dave, I guess, brought up, or you did actually, on the styrofoam. So there's a Academy Point in Mystic. There was a resident there that got directed to me through a different organization. And so a woman was worried about her health there and using styrofoam. So she was actively trying to petition them not to use it. I said, well, where actually is this? And Mystic. I'm like, oh, on the Groton side. And then she's told me where it was. And so Dave, I sent a message to Dave, and Tom's gonna just send a letter to them, to the information letter on the ordinance. This morning I was at CVS in Groton, and I was very surprised to see one of those thick plastic is back again. They had been using wood, paper. And all of a sudden, and I said, I mentioned to her that there was a single-use plastic ban in the town. But obviously it's a bigger mill size, right?
Yeah.
it's 4 mil.
So-
Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't,
Or
yeah, it escapes the.
where did we end up on that? We discussed this like a
There
year
was a
ago.
mill size.
There's a mill size in the
in the-
ordinance.
Yeah. in the
Did
ordinance.
they up it though?
They didn't change it.
We
So
haven't changed that,
No.
yeah. Oh, okay. So I said she was just the lady behind the desk. I didn't find the manager.
You're talking about the small bag that they
Well,
put
not
things
so
in?
small. It was like a,
Oh,
shopping
a
bag.
shopping bag.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, thank you.
They're,
I'll
they're,
carry
yeah,
this.
they've gone to
Yeah.
thicker plastics.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're
I'm
really
going,
heavy.
great, is it? Well, I guess at least it doesn't blow around as easy in the wind,
Well,
I
they
guess.
keep telling me it's recyclable, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
So it's multi-use.
Yeah, it's
multi-use.
multi-use.
I reuse my CVS bags, the thick ones, because I get those up in Boston.
oh. And so there is, can't remember if I mentioned this last time. I think I only mentioned the climate bill that in the Connecticut legislature, the 5004. It has not been introduced yet into the Environment Committee, but it is headed there. There is a single-use plastic ban that Andre Baumgartner has and a whole bunch of co-sponsors introduced, or it's on the radar. That's 6229, HB 6229, and it's modeled after the town of Groton single plastic ban. It includes styrofoam. SB 9 is a climate resilience that has a lot of it's all resilience, so it's nothing to mitigate. But so if you don't do the mitigation, you're just going to end up spending a lot of money on resilience. But anyway, and then there's the environmental rights amendment is up, and it actually has a spot on this Friday's public hearing on GAE. So that's was HJ, it's now SJ 36. So we'll see how far that gets this year. Tom had already sent out some notes on the League of Conservation Voters. meeting. I totally agree with you. There's very little new presented there. I was quite disappointed. And we'll talk about the solar canopy later in new business. And then I did get this, came across, it's a tree meeting, branching out together. So partnerships in urban and community forestry conference. So I thought maybe Giselle might be interested in that. If I'm around here on these dates, March 19th and 20th, I'll go.
The electronic too, because if it is, the students could do it.
Oh, yeah. It's at the Arboretum at the.
Oh, well, then they
college,
can
so they
really do
should
it.
know, but you're right.
Right.
So it's Connecticut Urban Forest Council, Tree Wardens Association, and the Connecticut Tree Protective,
Is it the end of the
Those
month
the 19th and 20th
of March?
of March.
Oh, March.
I guess my question
Yeah,
is,
that's sort of
our
Yeah.
tree warden, is the town of Groton tree?
We haven't checked on that. Wow.
Is it gonna go? I don't know. This is the first I've heard of this, so.
Definitely have this, make sure the students know about that. too.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I just saw that.
Well, because I didn't see that. Could you forward that to
Yes.
Giselle and
And Dave,
Faye? I mean, do you want it as well? No? Okay.
One other, just a quick question to Ann.
Mhm.
There's a bill, what number is it here? It's,
there's I haven't scanned everything yet.
oh,
so-
5618 in regard to transfer sale of municipally owned open space.
Oh, there's a lot of weird things.
Yeah, because I have been commenting to some of these bills as they come up, and the thing about that one that requires could go to referendum. If you
Yeah.
want to,
I would hope
Yeah.
so.
but the thing about it is open space or forest land that's owned by the municipality. And I did comment that they should clarify what forest land is by taking a look at going to clear, a small, medium and large core forests, designated as that. I did make that comment, just to let you know,
Yeah, and one other
because
thing
that hearing
that
was today.
I haven't looked to see if there must be some solid waste management bills. There is a composting bill out there. I don't have the number in front of me. But I mean, a more bigger bill because the state of Connecticut needs to do something
yeah,
about
well,
it. So I'm
Nothing
assuming
like,
that there's
nothing like things going away to focus the attention, so
Mhm.
it seems like they would have to do something on that, because what do you do with the waste?
Right. So I can send that list to you if you want it.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Right. The only thing on the report is that I went to the same workshop that you had mentioned earlier, the community conversations, hot topics, sat at a different table. And the town representatives that were at our table of discussions, I hadn't met before, more junior partners here in the planning department. And I found it very informative. Lots of questions came up for the town staff that didn't have answers during this discussion. So I was hoping there would be more meat to it, if you will, from the town. And for instance, we had discussions about the gas stations and the gas station in particular on Long Hill coming in. And so people said, well, what's the tax implication of this coming in? Is this a benefit? Is it a negative? What? And they didn't have an answer. How many gas stations have we had? Or how many do we have? No clue. So are we adding on top of a lot, or how does it fit in with the mix of everything? So, but it was having attended a few of these, it brought it to a different level, and there was lots of good conversations that were going on. A lot of questions to the town staff who could come back from their point of view, tell us what's going on. But
What were the two questions? The first one was about, taxes. So, both of those properties have been vacant for a while. So from a tax standpoint, now
Right.
they'll be net positive. in terms of, I mean, we did discuss a little bit about how many have been, because it's been, and the whole purpose between that topic, and I don't know if any of you follow it on Facebook, but there have been there's been a huge amount of misinformation going out, about what's being approved, where are things coming from. This is, PCC does, and it actually starting to get a little vicious. Oh, they don't know what they're doing. They're just approving everything. And when it comes down to it is that if it meets the zoning, right? We as a staff advise, like work with the developer and make sure it's meeting all the different standards there. And then when it comes to planning and zoning, they can't deny something just because they don't want it. So that's a big part of Groton 2035. And we're going to be having those conversations with the Planning and Zoning Commission about really thinking about some of these districts and what kind of businesses we actually want to have in there. And again, it comes down to the fact of a big part of it is that, who is the end user for it? And when you have such a large commuter population, and commuters are really, for the most part, not shopping here. They're, I know I don't. What's the one thing I get here? I get gas here. If I'm empty, I'll get gas in Groton, and then I drive home, right? But I'm not shopping here, so, gas stations, car washes, oil changes are kind of more geared towards the driving community more than those that actually live here. So, that's the bigger conversation around that. In terms of total numbers, I mean, we probably have it, and they may, I don't know who you had at your table, but like, we have, Deb had put together a bunch of those, those stats and whatnot. And part of that was that there's been all this misinformation saying, planning and zoning has been approving gas stations left and right. How many more do we need? And the reality is that as you had heard that night, we haven't had an application for a gas station since I think 1990. Which is crazy. You're like, oh, well, no, of course we've had some. No, we have not had an application for a new gas station. The two that just got approved in 2024 were the first two since 1990. The only things we have had are conversions over of existing gas stations. Like if you think a lot of the gas stations that used to be around were gas stations and car service, right? Well, car service has kind of gone in a different direction. So a lot of those businesses have converted over to gas stations and convenience stores, which is what more people are looking for. But in terms of how many gas stations we've actually had, 2 approved last year. Prior to that, basically almost, basically 35 years since we've had a new application for a gas station. Car washes are another big piece in terms of, again, a big commuter, a big driving community here. And there is a very strong demand for car washes, not just here, but everywhere. They are popping up. If you drive even anywhere around New England, they're popping up everywhere because there's a brand new model for it. It's
an annuity model for the car.
yeah, it's the Netflix model. We get you for a membership, and that's what it is, and so yeah, you can go and get your car washed, and I don't know what the numbers are going to be, but all right, for $15 we'll wash your car, or you pay 30 and you can wash it as many times you want over the course of the month. So of course it's that whole membership model, and there's been a lot of studies and a lot of articles coming out about that. It's a very attractive thing. So
And a waste of water. Say
no, I have to say that is actually not true.
Yeah.
That's actually not true.
Recycled water.
Yes, the part of our regs require a large amount of that water to be recycled. The only stuff that really doesn't is obviously if there's any oils or other fluids and stuff that we don't that can't be recycled back, those get sent out of the system. But the majority of the water does get recycled, and that's part of the whole.
They
the
made a
whole-
It's
statement
actually
that,
better than the homeowner doing
Yep.
it themselves.
right, they were saying
True.
that a family of 4 uses more water per day than a car wash
Yeah.
would.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and we actually had, I've heard from several people of like this, some popping up in Norwich and Waterford and all over the place. And they're an interesting, it's an interesting new operation. So, but so that was part of why this topic came up is really because the forum, there's been so much stuff coming out about, jokes to a degree, but also like not really understanding the process and what the town, meaning planning and zoning, can and cannot approve. So, and it's all based on the need, you know, it's like we've
Well,
heard,
unfortunately, as you drive through town, the construction that you see is,
it's for that. Yeah.
is for those two
Yep.
items.
Yep.
So
Or oil changers.
Oh, yeah. an
oil
change,
change,
yeah.
right, oil change, the one gas station up, going up the hill, and then the car washes.
Yep.
So that gives you the flavor for what the development is.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
and so it's a starting point
Yep.
for a discussion.
And then people forget about, oh, well, you know, 99. What's happening at 99? Is that another car wash? No, that's a restaurant. What's happening at the old Pizza Hut? That's a new restaurant, you know, and then there's those are the, you know, as you know, what we've been told from a lot of businesses that this is the stuff that people are willing to put their money for into Groton for. So you know, we can, like I said, part of the whole process of Groton 2035 is to help look towards the future and what kind of community we want. But again, there's been so much talk, even since I've been here for 2.5, almost 3 years now. Even when I first started here, it's like, oh, we need a Whole Foods, you know, oh, we need a Trader Joe's, and we don't meet the model for that. You know, we just don't have the numbers from people living here, and so you know we can get there, but there's certain things that play into it. So there's been a lot of misinformation out there, and as most of you have gone to these events, and I think that was number 6, I think. And we're gonna have more. We have some more coming up. One's gonna hopefully in the next couple months there'll actually be one about property reuse, you know, from more education on that. I'm planning on doing one on flood insurance, especially with, you know, so that'll be coming up probably sometime in later in the springtime and stuff. So we're trying to keep up with the topics that are, you know, topical. Yeah, exactly. That everyone's complaining about. So, but really, what you know, and you will see and I'm not saying any of you are on social media, but you will see that we really are being really transparent in terms of what's coming out. And so you know, like we've been sending up updates out, and those are going to be going out about like what's going on here. So here's all the projects that are in the lineup right now, so people know what's actually coming. So.
All set.
My only stuff is in the agenda. I
So-
get,
so good.
yeah, well,
Moving right along.
moving right along.
Old business. Well, we've already handled the open space inventory. That was the update from Tom. Open space planning, we have, let's see, where do we have the stewardship is latest. We talked about Groton 2035. On budget support, from our last meeting, I did reach out to Marv on writing a support, said thank you, but I'm taking care of it.
What do you say?
Mark Barry, oh no, he,
They're still working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing.
nothing much there. 6.5 vacant land review, we discussed that. And we got the 2 biggies. Michelle, take it away.
Nope, she's a clean lady. Okay, so Ann and Giselle and I met with the Con College people today. It was a great meeting. Probably the best kickoff we've had. We learned something every year. All 6 of our projects have a team assigned to them.
Oh, wow.
So,
6 for 6.
6 for 6.
All right.
And so, Ann and Giselle are going to be the points of contact for the Earth Day folks. And the Groton 2035, they did say they wanted to do the food security again. So they want to follow on to last year's food security. They may change, I mean, they have a chance to change their mind, but
Oh,
they seem to be really interested in food security. And then the Groton trees, there's a couple of people that are interested in the trees. And so, so that's very exciting and they were really interested too, like there's good crowd. And then I'm the POC for the 2 Get Outside Groton things. So they definitely, a group wants to do the backpacks and a group wants to do the nature playscape at Groton School. And then, and we do have a couple that also want to work with stewardship, and we're gonna have to, figure out exactly what that means, you know, to define something for them that's concrete and doable. So, so yeah, I'm really pleased with it. We have, you know, they have our contact information, we have their contact information. And they should have, they're gonna meet in their class next week. They're going to start working on this stuff and then Jen's gonna tell us, they're gonna have you know, plans for us at some
Project
point.
plan.
Project plan,
Okay.
probably by our next meeting, yeah.
For March. So that would be good to get our
Mhm.
project, because March, then April, we already got.
Right, and then, and they have, right, and they have like 2 weeks of of vacation in March and then, but we did also, now some of them, there's something else going on Earth Day. So, they may not all be able to be there, but we did say part of their presentation, like they're all required to present their project at Earth Day, what, in some form or other.
In some form or another.
And I suggested, so one of the ways that to me is really easy and common is to do a trifold, you know, a tabletop thing. And I even suggested that we could provide them with the tabletop things, like we can just buy it for them and give it to them, right? Rather than them having to scrounge on their own for it. In fact, last year, I think I did reimburse one of the groups for, you know, the $10. But anyway, but they're gonna check and part of their plan is to how they plan to present at the Earth Day so that we know what they need for,
I was just gonna ask, are they gonna
Right.
provide, here's what I need?
right, and also like the backpack people will probably need, you know, supplies, because they don't just want to say, here's what should be in the backpack, they actually want to create a backpack for their library that they show on Earth Day. Means at the, so here you can check this backpack out and go play on one of our properties to learn something, right?
Right.
So,
Potentially.
potentially, right, so
Yeah.
that's the, you know, the idea would
Or they
be,
could do a trifold. It's,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
well, I would still do the
I'd like to
trifold,
See how they figure
They-
that out.
do the trifold about the backpack and then have the
Right.
backpack there as a
there,
demonstration.
right.
So that's very encouraging. I was, yeah, it was a good meeting, right?
Yeah.
So,
Very good.
so we're off and running
All right, you're on a roll.
on a roll.
Stewardship?
Stewardship, I was a little delayed in getting back to, so just a little delayed, but I did send the information back to Tabitha and Mark and we need to schedule a meeting with them to go over the latest version of the,
That's rolling around, so the invite for, with it, I think is it this week or next week?
She
I-
had stuff for both.
yeah, so I need to go in and,
Back.
Was she-
well, because I haven't looked at my schedule, I haven't done the schedule yet,
Okay.
so.
All right.
Yeah, we were telling her what days and then she works with Tabitha direct. So
Right.
that's what Point of contact.
Oh,
But you gave me your dates, right?
it was like I can meet any of those.
Yeah, I can meet all.
Yeah, you see, you're both wide open. So we're open. The problem is with them.
Yeah.
So I will get back to her and say, here's, you know, we recommend.
She was very specific. with
Yeah,
time.
she gives
Yeah,
specific
she
dates.
gave 5 specific.
I know, but I
times.
didn't see them until this afternoon.
Oh, okay. Okay. So hopefully we will have that meeting before the next March meeting.
Hopefully, yes, so we'll be ready to, well, and this is actually good in some ways because now that we know we have a student group working on it, we can try to identify some possible ways for them to help us.
To
based
to
on-
verify and test out the.
Right,
stewardship,
right.
which is the whole point of
Right,
this thing.
yeah, and so we, you know, and they need to, Tabitha needs to be prepared to work with those students, so we need to have that as part of our discussion. Say, hey, by the way, these students are gonna work with this, they need to have your input and feedback or whatever, so we need to figure out how to work with that staff.
Is there any opportunity for a crossover between the stewardship plan and the cleanup?
I mean, we could tell the students the cleanup is, I mean, they can be part of the cleanup, but it's not,
I'll take a look, but right now, the stewardship manual and stuff that we're developing is for a long-term monitoring program.
Right.
This is a one-shot,
Right.
No, I.
2-hour deal.
But, you know-
Okay, I was just saying like the MSS
MS4.
survey,
MS4, yeah.
MS4 survey or something, as long as they're there.
The type of stuff I'm gonna be doing for preparations for the, to identify the target spots, where to send people and stuff. That type of stuff is a part of the monitoring sessions, which is part of the manual. And so there might be something there that I could be taking a look at as far as doing
include
this
them in the
before it's done,
process or
yeah.
something,
that,
Um,
that'd
That was
be as close as it's gonna get.
yeah.
Okay, no, I'm just looking for some crossover.
Yeah.
that might be helpful to
Yeah.
you. And then back into the stewardship.
Yeah, I can look at that and put my Joel property hat on, and it's because that'd be the only applicable locations. And see if there, if there's going into the thing, but I'm very familiar with, because the two of us wrote the thing.
Well, I
you
know.
So I know what's already in it, so it's.
Okay.
Well, really, yeah, and it basically, part of it is honestly, I think our issue right now is how the intersection with Parks and Rec and how, what they plan to do with it and how they plan to execute it. And I think we need to delve deeper and figure that out and help understand, how they're gonna help.
Well,
Cause it's their job. I mean, it's no longer our plan, really. It's
right,
their plan to execute.
Well,
So what do they need to execute the plan?
well, it would be ideal if we could get that and then get that as part of the budget process so they're funded to do it.
Right, but what I'm saying is that if, in how, yes, that's true. And the question is there something that the students can help with to help us in that process?
Okay.
That's the question with Parks and Rec. It's like, what pieces are missing for them to be able to do what we need them to do to make this happen?
Just throwing something outside the box here. What if the part of their project, the students get before the town council and talk about the value of stewardship?
If they're interested in that.
I'm just saying,
Right.
part of the project.
Yep.
I mean, it's,
Right, so really, we need to come up with, because this is kind of a broad topic that we haven't, some of these things are easily defined, like, yeah, you create a backpack, right? But this is, so we need to come up with, here's some possible avenues for your project to take, right? And they're doing the same thing, they're at their meeting next Monday, they're doing the same thing, so we need to say, okay, here's some possibilities, which ones of these are interesting enough to you to spend your time on?
well, I mean, my thought is real world implications, so nothing gets done without funding.
Right.
And so having the students be aware that, this stuff in a vacuum, you got good ideas. How do you get it actually done? And part of the process, and it may fail, most of these things fail, that's not the issue. The issue, this is a learning example. How do I put together something that can convince a town council that it's a worthwhile investment?
Well, that may be nice for students who are interested in that, but these students are interested in being stewards. So,
Oh, okay.
that's, at least that's the impression that I got.
Okay, all right.
In fact, one had, I don't know if the one was the one that is on, but there was one of the students already had experience with a conservation council, a land trust type place. So anyway, but we can offer that as a possibility. But my suspicion is they'd like to do more of the hands-on steward
Hands-on
stuff.
work versus.
What I'm kind of hoping is if they might be IT savvy enough to help with the process of coming up with those forms and entering
Okay.
the forms and stuff. That's where I think would be, if they're interested in that, that's my favorite idea, is to get them to help us with the electronic stuff. But we have to find out.
Okay,
Right.
all right, moving along. That
So,
was good.
yeah, those two are related, obviously. And so I will figure out the date and let you guys know, and we'll go from there.
Six dot eight outreach, is there any outreach? Nothing? And tree advisory board, I was gonna ask Giselle, but she's not here. So,
So, while we're on the trees, I actually forward item though, you brought up, we appreciate bringing up the topic of the tree warden, because we used to be able to take a look at once a year, ask the question, did you get your certifications and are you staying current? We haven't been doing any of that under our tree advisory board
so
hat.
your suggestion is to invite the tree warden in for a.
Well,
report?
I can't even tell you, who the guy is.
Met the new one?
I didn't, I just can't remember his name offhand. But yeah, they did finally assign a tree warden.
Yep.
He's been going, he's not certified. I thought it was supposed to happen this,
Yeah, somewhere
This-
around now-ish, or,
yeah. So.
and I don't know how long his certification, if there's more involved, like, I just don't know.
tree
That's
warden
all through
for-
Public Works.
I agree, but
Is
it's
there
not
a
part of our
renewal on the,
responsibilities.
I don't know.
certification.
Certification?
I don't know. There might be some,
You have to go
like,
to school, the
Yeah,
school.
there is a requirement.
Right, but I
yeah.
meant, once you get it,
I'm
is
sure,
it for life or?
No,
I'm sure there's like some, you keep having some credits that you need to keep
CEUs
up.
or something.
Yeah,
Wait,
exactly.
or
They're all like
reviews,
that. Yeah.
all right, let me see if I can explore where that is, remind myself who it is, where it is, and see if we can schedule a report or, visit to the conservation council. I should, yes. Okay. After that, we're into.
Can I backtrack?
Sure.
So as long as so this Wednesday, 2:30 is good with you two guys? I mean, as long as we're talking about it, we
Yeah.
may as well.
Okay,
All right, I'll put that as our first choice. So
Wednesday.
you guys good with both? You said you're both good with all of them, correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
so February 5th at 2:30.
yep. I'm gonna put that as the
You have
first choice
2:30
and,
now, so 12 o'clock, okay.
yeah, because I have another meeting at 10, so I don't know when that's gonna be over.
And where is this gonna be?
I would guess at their office.
Okay, just asking.
I,
I went to the wrong place one of those times.
and I'll do Friday at 11 as the second choice. So there we go.
Okay, so big asterisk there. All right. Any new business?
No, Friday's no good, never mind. Not me.
You want to do it?
Solar canopy.
Solar canopies is on the agenda.
Sorry.
No.
Oh,
Well, I asked about the solar canopies because when I was going through some issues, I noted that there's this PACE, which is the People's Action for Clean Energy, made a report to the state legislative folks. And when you go through their report, you find that, well, there's certain places in the state that are likely, high reward for if you can get it. And Groton's one of those few towns. It has about 124 sites available. And they can power over 700 homes in Groton alone. And so I said, well, who's advocating for this? And it's come, I brought this up as a point, requested a point of discussion here in regard to, so that's come, it's all attached in the legislative history, and the program outline that had been developed for the state of Connecticut. And I think a lot of this is, like commercial type of stuff, like the EB and Pfizer parking lots, that type of stuff. As well as, because we've got a lot of stuff there. I don't think the city has done anything with this, but I was just, should this be one of our items as a conservation commission to be more advocating this? And how would that be coordinated, whether that's a Office of Planning and Development thing, or is it the Conservation Commission? Who should be, who's you got this potential out there. Nothing is happening, but who's advocating for it?
Megan.
Megan is,
Okay.
yeah.
is there some?
Is she? I don't know.
She is. Because I actually sent this all, when
Okay,
you sent it over, I
okay.
forwarded it over to her.
Okay,
So
so
she
that
has,
was,
she has been working with Pace.
Yeah,
And
she's
stuff.
been working with it.
So they, she also has a huge amount of projects on her plate. So that's the other, like,
Yeah.
I won't get into it. A lot of grant funded projects that are, but a couple of really big projects right now. So but it's in the back of, one of the things is updating basically the energy audit for the town and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And that includes like looking at all of this stuff. But yeah, she has been in touch with Pace and is working with them. So.
okay.
So is this a net economic benefit to the town because of the using town property?
That's if you
putting
put it
up
on the
the-
town properties.
Well, or the parking lots or whatever,
Parking lots are private.
yeah.
Now, if you were to put it out here,
Yeah.
The town has parking.
yeah,
We
parking
do have
lots.
parking lots. So. It would, there's I think at this point, we don't have I'm trying to go through all the regs, how this would be addressed. And I think that's one of the things that's not clearly addressed right now. Like, so we do have, so for instance, solar is a utility,
Yep,
right? We don't regulate solar on residential because we don't deal with residential for the most part, right? But if all of a sudden you talk about solar canopies, which are a commercial enterprise. So we have a screening requirement for utilities, so they're considered a utility. So would we need to screen a solar canopy? And again, I'm not even giving you the answer because we don't know, because we haven't gotten that far in terms of it, but like when we look at things on the commercial thing, how do ideas like this match up with our current regulation, and what would need to change in order to do that? Like we have EV charging regs, and we're already finding that we have some massive holes and things that we need to think about. Now, the state's requiring one thing, so our regs kind of match that. But they don't have, one of the things I've been looking on is in terms of guidance for in the flood zone. What do you do with EV chargers in downtown Mystic?
Yeah.
And there is no such thing as a waterproof EV charger.
I was gonna say.
So,
Water and
and
electricity don't
a
really mix.
GFCI does you no good, because when you actually have the flood and it's underwater. So these are some of the things that,
Oh, yeah.
even though we have the regs for it and they sound really good, there are things that, even from planning and zoning side of things and building code, they don't exactly match up. So we said, okay, this is our requirement here, but the building code says, well, besides just having them for individuals, you also need to have ADA compliant EV chargers. And we don't have those, so so there's a lot of stuff we have the state mandate saying like, this is what we want, and we're trying to work that into our regs and stuff, and we're finding that, there's a lot of things that look really good on paper, and we're requiring developers to do this, but there's some big challenges, flood zone, even Groton Utilities. I don't know if I mentioned this to you, we met with them last fall, just in terms of for big developments coming in. And so we have let's make it easy. We have a 10% requirement for EV chargers on most parcels. And if it's new development or more than 50% disturbed, but we also have a 25% make ready. So we have 10%, we have to have EV chargers, and then 15% to make the 25, where you actually have to have the conduits in there. So Groton Utilities is like, this all sounds great, but when you have to put that much infrastructure on the ground, you need massive transformers. So there's, like I said, there's kind of these things that we didn't think was a big deal, but right now transformers are a big issue. So again, these are things that if we go to, and I'm not saying we wouldn't, but these are things that we would have to explore and how they would work with our current regulations. How would those work? And would we get them into our regs? So yeah, so we've been having some interesting conversations lately. I'm like, this will be interesting.
We have to keep life interesting.
That's right.
There's a really nice example at the Hotel Marcel. Have you been down there in New Haven?
Yes.
It's a completely redone
Yes.
it's the Pirelli tire building that's now a hotel.
Yep.
And it's using sustainable practices, and they have solar
Canopies on the outside. Yep. On the back behind IKEA and stuff. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
right next to IKEA. Yep. Yeah.
So, and there's other places like University of Rhode Island just put a massive solar canopy parking lot outside their ball fields and stuff. So
Mhm.
like there's opportunities.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't think there's grants for this stuff anymore. Like those are going to be obsolete, probably most likely over the next 4 years.
Right, probably.
so-
So therefore, it's got to be commercially
Yep.
beneficial.
Yeah,
too.
exactly. Yep.
Then that's
So are
what I
there
was thinking.
companies out there? I was kind of surprised when you say commercials. Are there companies out there that go install this and then they get the money off of the
Yeah,
sale?
I had a guy in my neighborhood come to my house and said, we'll install it, we'll pay for it.
Oh, just like
Well,
that.
I'd be
Residential,
I'd be
yeah, but
careful
and
about
it's
that.
most,
But if it works for a
Oh.
house, why wouldn't it work for a parking?
and it's not that it wouldn't, I think that, I mean, a lot of what you're seeing is development of the 95 corridor, where there's space along the edge there, where they put like both in Connecticut and Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Some communities have had an explosion of putting in solar, not for parking, but basically clear cutting, unfortunately,
Yeah, that's-
tens of, I know, and that's where it gets
yeah,
kind of questionable too. So
Yeah.
yeah, and parking, as you know, is a challenging topic. But yeah, like places like like over in the city, yeah, that might make a huge amount of sense.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, I mean, I know that last year's Econ College discussion was about planting more trees, and yes, that's great and everything like that. But maybe there's a combo, you know, like maybe they could do, you know, I don't know. So these are all things that we, you know, they're great ideas, but, you know, you can keep moving forward with it. And really the lead for this would be Megan, at least
Right.
initially.
Right.
And then, you know, as it's getting closer to us looking at regulations, then we would come into effect, like into, and it might be something that we need to hire a consultant for to get, or we might do them internally. It depends on how expansive, depends on our workload and how expansive that gets. But it's, yeah, I mean, they're great, you know, but they're trying to figure out the where, and that may be where the consultant may come in to, like, looking at the town and say, okay, these are the places where there's actually opportunities to do stuff like this.
I know the town is working with the folks for the landfill cover.
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
Right.
That's an outside an outside corporation coming in to install that,
Yep.
and run the whole thing.
And we
So you're
get,
saying the most practical thing would be to take a look from a town perspective, would be to take a look and see if we've got any large parking areas. The one that comes to mind right now is the parking lot at the airport.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
ready?
But
zone.
unfortunately, blood
Blood
zone.
zone.
Unfortunately, that's
Is
a
it,
blood zone.
you know, if you're putting, you know, I don't know, is it a, you know,
Oh, no, it's a bad,
It's bad.
it's
I
bad.
mean, it's almost that entire area
underwater.
is AE zone.
Is a.
So
flood
it's
zone.
it's all it's the
so you
the
can't
one
put
percent
electric in
zone.
there.
Well, you'd have to elevate everything, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and part of the, and we have no control over the airport
I know,
whatsoever.
but it's
That's
the
state
state, we would be
Yeah.
advocating for
For
the
the
state to go
Right,
in and do
yep.
it.
And they,
Some
you know,
forwarding or something.
and yeah, so we wish we had more control over that area, just in terms of, because I don't think, I mean, we require, like, for instance, there's been some work on Leonard Drive, you know, and whatnot, and we require elevation, you know, elevating commercial, so it's a lot of flood proofing, but elevating the utilities and everything like that. But we don't have, unfortunately, we don't have any control over the airport, you know, and we don't really know what they're doing, you know, like, they're building stuff, but, you know, maybe having the generator sitting right on the parking lot, you know,
Yeah.
like so. Yeah, you're right. That's a big area. I don't know. And again, it kind of begs the question of, because I was, of course, the one that brought up the whole, you know, EV chargers in flood zones,
Flood zones.
because, you know, we're looking at Mystic, and as places are getting redeveloped, most of them are not hitting that 50%. But there could be potentially be some projects coming up that would hit that 50% trigger. And so they were required for EV, but they're all within the 1%. And how does that, you know, like, you can't elevate it.
I was gonna
You know, like, you're not gonna have stairs to go up there because your car is still in
Yeah,
the flood zone
in the
with an
flood zone.
attachment that's gonna, you know, so
Yeah.
it's,
yeah.
so the same thing. I think it's just those things that, as we think about places, you know, we have to think about all these different factors that may play into it. I think about floods all the time. I'm basically on the, as you
You're
guys
a
probably.
flood person.
I'm the basically I'm the floodplain manager so I do all the elevation certificates. So I think about all those things and make sure they've filled everything out. So we've been talking a lot more, and we will, that's one of our new sets of regs that are going to be coming up, is some upgraded flood regulations for lots of things. So
Because the flooding is changing.
yeah, a little bit, you know, like.
So I think it's fair to say that I
No,
brought the
no, it's
topic up
not.
for everybody's information, but
At least not for the next 4 years, it won't change with it. It's gonna change again after that.
Right.
Okay.
No money for it.
No, it's a great topic. That's why I wanted to put it under new business, because I think that there's, like, stuff like that is really good opportunities, and I think Megan and Alexis, you know, like that's the stuff they're working on, you know, so.
I'll reach out to Megan in
Yeah.
terms of, is there potential of the Conservation Commission supporting this specific effort, if that is okay with you?
no, I think it's
Yeah.
a great effort.
It is,
and,
yeah.
But I appreciate the insight on the additional, you know, a lot of questions and
Yeah.
stuff, and do a little bit
Caveats,
more
yeah.
research.
Nothing's easy.
Yeah.
One of my mottos.
This was brought up when they were talking about middle school. And toward the end of the construction, where they finally advocated for solar panels.
on the road.
And there was a little bit of a discussion at that time about canopies out in the parking lot. So I feel that
That's what.
the only thing we gained was some solar panels,
Yep.
which is a good
It's a
start,
positive thing, yep.
Yep. Positive thing moving forward. Where the canopy sounded like a great idea, especially where the staff cars are and so forth. Unfortunately, there wasn't any money, easy money, I think.
Yeah.
Available, so it didn't gain any traction.
Yeah, I think we need to be taking a look and see if there's a company out there that's really interested in putting these things
Well,
in.
that's
someplace.
that's
Yeah.
where I was. thinking.
Yeah, but I just don't know.
Making this a,
Yeah, I think the problem you run into is that that the moneymaker solar stuff is more south.
Yeah.
You know, in the Arizonas and that type of stuff. Up here in the Northeast, it's really break even because of the cloud coverage, the snow today, you know, you have a lot of bad days that you're not
No,
making money.
The payback can be pretty good. I mean, ours.
Yeah, but I think they're looking, you know, you need a lot of payback to
A lot
get
of
these
payback.
guys in
Well,
here.
yeah,
Yeah.
for these, Earthlight is the one that did the, Hotel Marcel. Canopies. I don't know if they specialize in that or not, but. It'd
mean,
be interesting to.
Yeah, and I really, you know, and you all are a very organized and proactive conservation commission. The cities is not. I don't think they've met in over 6 months because they're the Combo Conservation Commission in wetlands. So that there, right over by EB, makes a huge amount of sense. Anything that was proposed in terms of redoing those parking lots
Oh,
to
yeah.
add more space. I mean, that's a massive project. It's a massive need, and there's the opportunity to be able to tap into that. I've been trying to think, even since you sent stuff, like where are there opportunities that are not challenged by other things like flood zones, where that could be, and then yeah, I'm sure there's something out there, but again, you're exactly right. I think that it's a company that would come in and saying, hey, listen, this is what we would pay you, out of the proceeds for, and but I don't know.
But you have no zoning bill.
Not really right now, at least not clear enough. I think it would be something that we would definitely have
even if
to.
it was tax revenue on the money they make for the thing.
Right.
they're really
That's,
paying
yeah,
us,
exactly. Yeah. Yep.
A fee.
Yeah.
There's different ways.
Well, it
to-
depends. It depends on who owns the property.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
No,
Yeah.
no, that's what I meant.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay. All right. Anyway. All right. So I'll follow up on that and see if I can get more information. Any other new business? Report of staff.
I got nothing. I said everything I need to. No updates.
No updates.
There you go, Michelle.
Right.
We'll talk
We
about.
adjourn.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Very well. Wow. This is
Wow, I
a
think this is
new
our
record.
earliest, yeah.
Oh,
So,
it's a
Ray, do you
record.
know?
It's not a
um,
record. Why would not?
Project O